Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. It's the France 24 debate. We're looking at the undecided voters in the French presidential election. Remember, there are those who didn't turn out to vote, and there are those who voted for candidates that are eliminated from the runoff. Only two names on the ballot. Centrist Emmanuel Macron and the far right Marine Le Pen. With us to talk about it, Constance Le Grip of the Les Républicains party, who will be running in legislative elections in June, and who's told us in part one that she'll be voting probably for Emmanuel Macron in the second round. With us as well, Karim Bouhamran, spokesperson for the Socialist Party, who says he will certainly be voting for Emmanuel Macron in the second round. Bruno Verken of the Christian Democratic Party, part of the Conservative Coalition Parliament, who says he's undecided.
No, he would not vote.
Will not vote for Macron.
Would not vote for
and
Macron.
Could possibly vote for Le Pen. And Charlotte Girard, member of France Insoumise, Unbowed France. And you voted for the far left, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, in the first round. You're a member of his team. And your personal decision, well, it hinges on what the party will decide in an online poll. Last Sunday, Harris Interactive interviewed first-round voters as they left their polling stations. A slim majority of Mélenchon voters said that they were leaning towards Macron, but as you see, it's 51%. When it comes to the Socialist Party, there it's a 76%, a good three-quarters on the day said they were ready to vote for Emmanuel Macron. And François Fillon voters, well, slightly less than half. Let's now look at some of the reactions. Now, the results, we were talking with Charlotte there, of that internet survey of France Insoumise members will be published May the 3rd. It's the same date, by the way, as the candidates' debate.
We are proud of having created a new political force, and on the 7th of May, some of us will cast a blank vote. Some will vote for Emmanuel Macron, and others will not go vote. None of these options are immoral. All three options are legitimate, understandable. Not one vote must go to the National Front, not a single one. That option does not exist.
All right, so no vote for Marine Le Pen, but
that's crazy.
No,
it's crazy.
Not crazy. It's respectful.
Let's get back to the different polls you
It is
you raised.
respectful. It is respectful for our, partisans.
Okay, so let's get back to the polls. What you mentioned about different guys who will vote to second round for Marine LePen
and
for
Emmanuel Macron
or not. So the thing is that you have 50% one cheers and 10% something like that. I think the split will be one cheer, one cheer, one cheer.
So what?
Definitely. So what? So it means that after the second round, the Sunday, May 7th, we could have Marine Le Pen president.
No way.
And when you analyze what Alexis Corbière mentioned, it's exactly what I'm sharing. These guys really don't care about our country.
We know
they are
the
playing
end
tactics.
Of the story. Marine Le Pen will
they don't care about how republics. They say, okay, it's exactly what Constance mentioned. Today we are living a kind of the end of a former world, politically speaking, with the beginning of a new world. So it's the paroxysm of the crisis. And the thing is that Jean-Luc Mélenchon, his bet, he says, 2022, I will be the next president.
No.
And for that, I don't want to be in voice in the next 5 years and to be guilty as the guys who says I vote for Emmanuel Macron. So that's why this guy is very, very clever. He's one of the he's clever, but that's why I'm really, and excuse me for the rude word, the fact he says I will discuss with my guys, it's absolutely bullshit. Because Jean-Luc Mélenchon, when you know how Jean-Luc works,
You know how he works?
Yeah, I know very well how he works. Yes, I know. Okay. Yeah, congratulations. So, but the thing is that that's not the point. The thing is that all I will have to discuss with my 400 people to know what will the feedback. That's not true. He don't want to be in the trap between Macron and Le Pen because He plays tactics. He don't care about the future of our country. No. That's why I'm very scared about what will happen. One tier. You will see. And another point, which is very important, abstention will be far more than last Sunday. You have a lot of people. You have a lot of people who says, "I don't want to be fooled like 2002." That's why we decided, Socialist Party, to say,
is it illegitimate?
So you want to be...
Maybe, yeah, no, I agree. Again, I'm spokesman of the Socialist Party, not the spokesman from Macron.
And the Republicans have maintained the Front National away from having MPs. They would have had not Front National again. They would have had MPs.
Your member should be a member.
No, I'm not a member.
Okay.
And I didn't say, I said I would not vote Macron. I didn't say what I will do yet. And if I
blank is a value.
Right, let's look at
Marine Le Pen.
Let's look at.
That's true. That's mathematics. That's mathematics.
It is not.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not.
Okay,
blank is. I don't want to cut my arm. I don't want to cut my leg.
I'm talking from a political point of view. If you vote,
right, I'm going to pick up, Karim. I'm going to pick up on what you said about an abstention being a vote for Marine Le Pen in a minute. First of all, I want to look at the latest reactions from the right side of the aisle. The former president, Nicolas Sarkozy, putting out a statement on Facebook. Like François Fillon last Sunday night, he's calling on supporters to vote Macron. Any other way of acting, he says, would be irresponsible. He says he deeply regrets the result, but that he says for Marine Le Pen, his election and the implementation of her project would have serious consequences for France and the French people. The only party leader from the conservative camp to jump ship and call openly to vote Le Pen is from Bruno Verken's Christian Democrats, the honorary president Christine Boutin, who campaigned against the law legalizing gay marriage and adoption. Here's what she had to say on Tuesday.
I will be voting for Mrs. Le Pen against Mr. Macron. Mr. Macron represents everything that I've ever fought. Globalization, liberal libertarianism, financialization, and globalization. Really, to me, he's an enemy and an adversary. Mrs. Le Pen is too, because of her positions. I've been against her my entire career. But the only way to weaken Mr. Macron today is to vote for Le Pen.
This is a former minister in conservative governments there speaking. What's your reaction, Constance Le Grip?
I totally disagree, of course. I totally disagree. The Republican Party, my political family has been very, very clear. No vote for Madame Le Pen. That's our official position. No vote for Madame Le Pen. And most of the leaders of our party told the French citizens that they will vote for Emmanuel Macron. But I think that after a defeat, and we're only 2 days and a half after defeat, we should all be very humble, very humble. I feel myself very humble. That's why I don't want to give any lesson, any order to the citizens. I just telling, like Nicolas Sarkozy, like Alain Juppé, like François Fillon, like many others, that I will take my responsibility and I say what I'm going to vote, probably, and I'm absolutely sure that I will never vote for Madame Le Pen. But I think that we have to be very humble and respect and listen still. We have some days, maybe a little bit less than 2 weeks campaign. If there is a campaign between the two rounds, it's also because we need time to listen to the voters, to listen to the French citizens, hear what they want to tell us, and then take our decision.
All right, it's the end of one campaign and the start of another, because again, the legislative elections will follow in June. You're running in the western suburbs. You're running in the southern suburbs of Paris, you told us. If the first round vote of the French presidential election, and again, we're trying to surmise from this, because it's more than just the presidential vote that's at stake. If the first round vote was an exact snapshot of how the French will vote in the first round of the June legislative elections, this is how Macron's support looks like. The areas where he got the most vote are in deep pink. His supporters more evenly spread out across France than those of Marine Le Pen. In a few short years, the National Front has laid down roots. There you see the parts that are in dark blue, and there's many more that are in dark blue than there are in light pink. Marine Le Pen finished tops in 216 legislative constituencies. She could have more than 100 MPs in the next parliament irregardless of whether or not there is what we call here a front républicain, a Republican front, where the center-right and the center-left agree to coalesce behind the candidate who will be in the runoff.
I don't agree with the expression Front Républicain, Republican Front. What is going on here is not a Republican Front. The Republican Front is a quite old-fashioned expression. You know, it used to be used in the 50s, last century. Now it's something different. You know, we're trying to be as clear as possible, because there is an impossible choice to make. But nevertheless, we make the choice, but it's not Front Républicain.
I agree with this.
I don't agree.
Anyway,
it's something else.
Regarding the projection for the next election, which will be the real second round in June 11 and June 18, it will be quite different. Again, we are in a new wave. We are in a new generation, and honestly, even if you are a big specialist from the polls, you don't know what's happened on the ground, because you have three options. The first option, maybe you have a wave with Emmanuel Macron. That's his pledge. He says, I will have the majority. That's why he don't want to negotiate with the Socialist Party. He don't want to negotiate with anyone.
Yeah, he's fielding candidates in every district.
He feels very strong. He feels very strong. Okay, no problem. We'll see. First option. Second option, it could be the Républicain, and says, okay, we have lost because of François Fillon, and now we want our revenge, and maybe it will be a kind of what we say in French, a cohabitation. So it could be, it could be. And the third point
that we're fighting for,
and the third option, it could be a kind of like the Republic in after the World War II, the Fourth Republic, something which will be
a grand coalition.
Exactly. If Emmanuel Macron if Emmanuel Macron is the next president, if Emmanuel Macron can find majorities, which is something very different, very, very difficult, because it means that one part of Les Républicains.
Okay, so it brings us back. This brings us back to what's going to happen in the presidential election, because, and I'll put it to you, Charlotte Girard, a president who's elected with 51% of the vote doesn't have the same momentum going into those legislative elections as one who has 58 or 60% of the vote.
Sure. But with the Fifth Republic, and this is very different.
If Macron wins with 51% of the vote,
I know, I get it.
What will be the consequences?
The consequences could be that he won't have as much deputies as he could have.
And the consequences for her, for Marine Le Pen.
Sure, she could be high, but the thing is that there are other, participants, and they will fight against her and might make a front against her having new deputies. But the other point is that we are in the Fifth Republic, and that despite a weak majority in Parliament, the president and government are quite strong. They have many powers, and they can do many things despite not having a large majority. They need a majority. It's not the Fourth Republic.
No, actually, that's a constitution. We will not see that's on the text. The thing is that it's the question is, if Marine Le Pen makes 48, it means that we can have storms in the legislative with the National Front. But what you're trying to mention is that to be qualified in the second round in this election, you need to make 12.5.
12.5% to make the second round. This is for the legislative election.
Exactly. So it will be very difficult to forecast exactly what's happened.
We'll be here.
Let me put to Bruno Verken here. If we have Macron winning by 60%, or if we have Macron winning by 51%, does it make a difference to you?
Less than in the past, because we see a total change of paradigm here. In the past, let's say the last presidential election, and because the two candidates, mostly the socialist and the RPR or UMP one, were on their trail with a corps of a member of parliament or local politician aligned on their program, you could predict that there was a momentum. Now everything is reshuffled. Macron's program is a mix of very different things. You have Robert Hue behind him. You have Dominique de Villepin. What's common between
people from the far left?
From the
right.
far left. So there is no track record, neither on the content of the program. You have everything on its contrary. So it's going to be very volatile. It's totally unpredictable.
Very volatile. Germany has grand coalitions. They seem to work.
But
it's not a system and not a culture.
It's no longer a left-right, where you could predict. It's no longer a left-right. Are you for globalization, Uberization, libertarian world, or are you in favor of some belonging to a country, to a family, some rules, some conservatism? And that's the challenge. And
there is another option, which is ours.
Okay, good.
I mean, social.
Good to know.
Yes.
Yeah. Social. I said social.
Yes, but it's not conservative from the the
and this changes.
of life.
This is a complete change of paradigm, and it's very unpredictable. I think UDI, has no political future. You should join Macron.
Oh, no.
When Alain Juppé says, I regret that Fillon lost because he was not enough humanist. In his word, it means he was not libertarian enough. He was not liberal enough. He was not European enough. What's the value added of Alain Juppé and UDI compared to Macron? They are nowhere.
I think Bruno is too much in the tactical. And
I'm not tactical.
Bruno Verken.
I am analyzing the change of the politics.
You need to be in sync about what you mentioned at the beginning of your speech. Even you say we are changing the paradigm, and I do agree with that. And the thing is that that's another paradigm, 100%. And the thing is that the value added now will be even your congressman, your deputy, is close to your field or not. That's the first key of success. The second key of success is that what you mentioned, François, Macron will win with 65 or 51. That will be very different. Because if he wins with 51% of 50.5, trust me, it will be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Because he will for the first time in the history of our republic, will have a president very weak from the first days of his election. And that's very, very...
But it's going to be the case whatever the score.
Yes, absolutely.
France has lost since February. Since the Fillon affair, France has lost. The president will be weak. Macron will not have a majority. Le Pen will not have a majority.
Macron will be weak, but will Le Pen be strong, is my question.
No.
It depends.
Majority. Le Pen will not be strong. They will have 100 members of parliament.
She'll be able to claim victory if she gets 48% of the vote on.
I don't think so. No, of course, it will be a very difficult moment for us all. But, we have to remember that in the legislative elections, the National Front is always very, very lower than in presidential or European elections, for instance. So she won't have such a big group in the National Assembly.
Sure, she will be challenged everywhere. And especially, I wanted to say that we, as a force, we are in 451 constituencies. We are over 12.5%. So we could maintain. So there will be, 3 or 4
forces. But your vote will be split between the communists. And the thing is that...
No, we'll see.
The key point was in the February with the Fillon affair. You're right. And the other point is the Republic of the Pools. For example, after her primary,
we have
Benoît
6
Hamon...
weeks.
Please, can I finish?
I started.
When Hamon finished his the vote of the primary, it was 80% on the polls. And the key momentum when Jean-Luc Mélenchon go far beyond 50%, it was the beginning of the end for Benoît Hamon, for our candidate, because the people on the field when says, okay, Karim, what is the value added for me to vote for Benoît Hamon next Sunday? Except
people were voting tactically.
Exactly.
Charlotte Girard, you were saying there that no matter what happens, whether it's 51% or 60%, it's not going to make a difference. But will it nonetheless?
No, come on. It's not going to make a difference as far as the strength of the president,
And what about the image of France abroad?
It will be terrible. It will be terrible. I don't say it's the same vote or it's the same image that we give to the world with one far-right president and one center-right president, but liberal president. It's not the same as an image, but in the end, it's just that, and we think that the danger, even with Macron, is that after 5 years of Macronism, we will have, you know,
we'll have Marine, sure.
Marine will be here, and we will be here too. And
that's what I mentioned. That's exactly the tactical of Jean-Luc Mélenchon. That's exactly what I said.
It's not a tactical.
The best result for Jean-Luc Mélenchon will be Marine Le Pen very high. That's exactly what he's praying.
It's a disaster that we are not.
You know, the choice of courage is not to go for
on the
I
second
will vote
round.
Macron. The choice of courage is to say, I respect those who
All right, the argument
blank.
will continue for another 10
when
days.
and I thank you here, when you are on the plateau, you are asked, you are summoned to say within 20 seconds.
It's the compulsory vote.
You are obliged to vote Macron. The courage to say today, to say
democracy.
Macron is very dangerous.
Right.
And I may not vote for, I will not vote for him.
Lots of reactions, by the way, on the hashtag F24 debate. We didn't get to all of them, but one here from Martin. The former British Prime Minister Harold Wilson once said, "A week is a long time in politics. 11 days must seem like an eternity to Monsieur Macron." I want to thank,
for all of us.
right now, for all of us, says Constance Legris. Many thanks. I want to thank Bruno Verken, Charlotte Girard, and Karim Bouamran. Stay with us, though. Media Watch is next. And we say hello to Emma James.
Hi there.
We began by talking about the Whirlpool factory visit. The general consensus here was that it's not the war, but the battle today was won by Marine Le Pen.
I'm not so sure.
Tell us.
It's interesting when you look online. It's certainly been a real whirlpool of a day, especially for Emmanuel Macron. He's been through the ringer on this one, but I don't think either he or Marine Le Pen has come out whiter than white, I think it's fair to say. Nar, the cartoonist, came up with this image. Macron in touch with Whirlpool, clearly not feeling that he's a man of the people. He's there with his little shopping cart.
Going to get a lot of washing machine puns.
Absolutely, and his wife is saying, oh, we could take a dryer too for the Elysee. And that's sort of a rather unfortunate take on it for Emmanuel Macron. And certainly things didn't get any better initially with his visit. Claire Williams, our reporter, was there saying not the warmest of welcomes for Macron in his hometown, Amiens. Lots of whistling, lots of people unhappy. But, of course, Marine Le Pen had stolen a march on him. Le Figaro put it this way. They've got a little gif of the Super Mario games there, saying when Le Pen beats Macron to the site of Whirlpool in Amiens, and they describe it really as a communications coup for her, a real PR success, because by getting there first, she had immediately the sympathies, and then he had to fight against it. But fight he did, in fairness, not according to Florian Philippot, of course, Vice President of the National Front, and really the man credited with making Marine Le Pen as electable as she has become. What he said is, for Marine, there were selfies, and for Macron, there were whistles. The candidate of the people up against the candidate of the oligarchy. But if we look elsewhere, I mean, this again from a Dutch site saying it was a catastrophic trip. Another Twitter user saying, François Ruffin, in fact, a well-known journalist and campaigner here in France. So when you see Macron in front of those workers, it's like seeing a penguin in front of the desert sand. So lots of people really felt it was inappropriate, but they may have been speaking a little too soon, because he did go on to, as it says here, learn how to use a megaphone, and he spoke to those people gathered. He went on to Facebook Live using technology to its fullest, and a lot of people who watched this on Facebook Live felt that he turned things around. He spent a lot of time talking to people, answering questions, and one tweet that I thought was particularly interesting on this is the best 10 minutes in politics in the last decade from Macron at Whirlpool. In fact, it actually went on for 43 minutes on Facebook Live, and it is interesting that he turned it around. Now, it's whether or not people with their sort of goldfish-like memories days, in this day of social media where you see one tweet and you think you've learnt it all, whether people will have hung around and long enough to find out what happened after the whistles and boos. Macron's English-speaking Twitter account said, meeting ordinary people, arguing and convincing them, not just a simple photo shoot. That is the Emmanuel Macron way. Because, of course, Marine Le Pen essentially just posed for some photographs and...
Well, she stayed a few minutes at the parking lot.
Yes, but one Twitter user in particular picks on this photograph. You can see someone there, presumably she's one of the workers who's about to lose her job. Marine Le Pen all smiles, and if we look at the comment up above, he refers to her as the smiley scavenger, the wicked witch of the West with a desperate worker of the Whirlpool factory in Amiens. So you could say from that it wasn't just a PR success for Marine Le Pen. And this is an interesting tweet as well, talking about the reaction of the media to what happened. French media on Macron at Whirlpool, yep, hard job, well done. UK media, Le Pen just won the presidency for real, how terrible. So really showing how differently the countries react to these kind of things that we're seeing.
All right, many thanks for that, Emma James. I want to thank our panel once again. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate.